I would like to know from you, from your experience, how someone can get into real estate after moving here as a student with no prior experience. Hi, Aditya. Thank you so much for joining in. It's a pleasure to have you on Immigrant. You don't really need an introduction, but for people who are watching you for the first time, if you can give us a quick preamble about yourself.
Sure, yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. Definitely happy to be sharing about, the struggles and good sides of being an immigrant in a different country. So, yeah, a little bit about me. Like you mentioned, I'm an immigrant, came from India, from South India, specifically from a small village called Padkal in Telangana district. So, born and raised in a farmer's family where my parents struggled to just provide education for me. So, by borrowing money, they sent me to Canada as a student. So I came here as an international student, studied after graduation, struggled, while graduating, did all sort of, hard jobs to survive here. And after graduation, got into IT. So worked for 5 years and then now got into real estate, doing real estate investing and real estate sales full time from last 3 years, and now I have a team of like 5 agents and 4 assistants, and couple of properties. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's my story.
So let's talk about your international student life. If you can give us a glimpse of your journey, any difficulties, or even any positive side. People always talk about like struggles and difficulties, right?
Yeah, I will talk about both the sides, right? Like, so I came to Sarnia city, Lambton College, where I came with a lot of expectations. I didn't even bought too many dresses when I'm coming here, because I thought I'm gonna come and work here, work full time, like work part time and study, so I can make some money, so I can survive. That was my intention. So the biggest thing was like, all of a sudden I come here, Sarnia, it's one of the smallest city, like almost felt like my village back home. Like, it's a small city. And the college course, I was like not completely prepared for the course. It was like full time. I couldn't do part time. So all of a sudden, like, now I need more money to just survive while studying. So that was one of the biggest challenge. And of course, when coming from India to here, the Canadian, first of all, yes, I know English, but accent, it was very tough in the beginning to learn. At least it took me like few months to understand what my lecturer was telling.
Right.
It's just but nowadays the kids are very privileged because everyone was watching Hollywood movies. I had to start watching Hollywood movies back then after I came to college here, because I couldn't understand. So at least to communicate, I have to just watch a lot of movies. So that's another one. And the food, because like I mentioned, this is in 2012, right? I came to Canada in 2012. Now every city has like a lot of Indian restaurants, a lot of Indian groceries, food and everything. But back then, the first 3 days I didn't had like rice and curry. I was just surviving on fries and McDonald's burger. I hated it. So finding our food was tough. And then of course missing back home, right? Like family. All of a sudden it's a different country. You don't know anyone. It's a lot of missing feelings. So that's a difficulty side. But the good side is, I loved the culture here, the people here, so humble. Like, when I was a student for Christmas, I spent a whole day with a family, Canadian family. Man, it is one of my memorable day in my whole life. Like, these guys like don't know who I am. They invited me to their home. They literally made me a member of their family. We played games, we learned about them, they learned about me. Nice food, like, it was like the welcoming. This country, that's one of the biggest plus point that I feel like, I feel back home. It's except missing my friends that I grew up with, but the best country you can ever ask. So yeah, that's a good side of it. And of course, long story, like, after getting the job and all, once settling down, I can tell even financially, it's such a rewarding. So yeah, a lot of good things to talk about Canada. I would not stop talking about it. So
No, definitely. I can relate it as well, being an international student. But I always say this, that it's just a matter of time, right? And now, if we talk about this is just a memory. This is just a learning and experience that we're sharing with others.
Yeah.
And as you said, right, Canada is what I call it is very immigrant friendly country. You will meet all sort of people, and they're very nice people that you definitely meet. And I think, yeah, that's a pretty good answer, and I could relate as well. All right, Aditya. So moving forward, now let's talk about real estate. And for people when they first plan to move to Canada, right? They think about IT, banking, marketing, and those sort of fields, right? And it makes sense because real estate license obviously won't get you a student study permit. But I would like to know from you, from your experience, how someone can get into real estate after moving here as a student with no prior experience.
So, first of all, is that something that you want, right? Like, so you're don't forget, you cannot get a study visa on real estate course. So that's period. So that means now you have to do another course where you have to spend at least like $10,000 on the course. So, and on top of it, you have to study for like 3 to 6 months at least to get your license. And even after you get your license, you will be in a sales job. So there is no guarantee of getting income. So personally, if I were you, I would suggest, especially if you're a student, finish your education, get your PR, work on your immigration status, because that will allow you after that, once you have your permanent residency, you can go do whatever you like to do. So whereas self-employed, because the sales become self-employed, and you won't be able to, I think there is certain rules where to qualify for PR. But again, in the meanwhile, while you're working for your PR, learn about real estate, learn, what goes into it. Maybe if possible, save up some money, because if you have a income source, maybe you got a full-time job in your studies, or you started some self-employed business, whatever you're doing, save up some money, start getting into real estate by maybe a primary home, or my favorite strategy is like house hack. Buy a house where you have like 2 or 3 or 4 units, where you live in one unit and rent out the other units. So technically, if you do it right, and if you're in a not so bigger city like Toronto, other than Toronto, probably other smaller cities like medium-sized cities like Windsor, other cities where most likely, if you do it right, you will be able to, like, the tenants will be able to pay your expenses. So now you're learning while you're working on your status, and then go get your license. If you're like, yep, if you want this, yeah, definitely. Personally, I went through the traditional route like many people do. I finished my education. I got a job in IT. I worked as a software developer for 4 or 5 years. While I'm working full time, because I had a full time job, it's easy to get loans. So in Canada, that's another thing. You need to have a credit, and if you have a job, it's easy to get qualified for loans. So I got my property, the investment properties first. And I had a couple of properties at that time before I got my license. So my intention was not to get to license, but it just happened because I was already into real estate, buying rental properties, and I didn't want to spend my 8 hours of valuable time in just working just to make 80,000. Rather, I thought I'll put this 8 hours of valuable time in something that I can, that I'm passionate about. So that was at that time real estate. So yeah, I would suggest, go through the process so that you won't have to struggle too much.
Right. I really like your answer, and you being very honest and transparent, right? Because see, money is something, it's very important. Totally agree. But it's not everything, right? And so it's just seeing people making $1 million and thinking very fascinating. But what goes behind it is something that makes you a better person or a better professional, right? And this was about the students, as I mentioned, who don't have any experience. But what about, and you already gave a glimpse of it. But what about the people who are coming on PR and they're actually into real estate? So let's say I am in India and I have 5 years of real estate experience. in India, right? And I'm very much focused. I'm pretty sure that that's what I'm gonna do as well once I move to Canada. So let's.
Yep.
So how about the new immigrants who are moving as a PR, who can get the license? How can they establish themselves in this industry?
Yeah, if you already have your PR, that means first of all you're ahead of many students. So congratulations, and get now while you start working, you get working on your getting license. So especially if you want to, again in the real estate you have two different things. So let me take a step back. Two different things is one is investing, one is sales. So if we are talking about just the sales, then start real estate licensing exams. That will take 3 to 6 months. In this time period, what I see is a lot of people just focus on exams. They don't focus on anything else. But in this time period, focus on building your network. You can do that in multiple ways. Number one way in nowadays is like social media. Just what you're doing, what I'm doing, right? Like I have started my YouTube channel on the day I decided to get my license. I made the kind of similar video where talking about how much I like about Canada, the reasons I like about Canada. That was my first video I ever made. On my phone, nothing. So again, the reason I started that is like, to build my network. If people don't know me, how they're going to work with me? If they don't like and trust me, they are not going to work with me. So you have to build your network. Start that on the day one. Don't wait for the exams to be done, because by the time you're done, if you don't have anyone, now you have to start again. While you're preparing for your exams, you have like 12 hours a day time. From that, even if you spend like 6-7 hours for study and 2-3 hours for food and regular things, and maybe spend 1 hour a day just doing something. Or maybe another thing I used to do is going for, even till the day, going for networking events. There are a lot of networking events, real estate events, different, like, if you're Indian, like, Indian communities, just make connections. Don't be like that salesy guy saying, hey, here's my business card, I'm getting my license, work with me. No, stop there. Just build the relations. I am Aditya, what's your name? Where do you come from? Who are you? This is I am. Just build those relations. So now you're preparing for exams and you're building your the connections. Also learn about real estate. What goes in the real estate, how the processes looks. And there is a lot of social media. Like, nowadays we are so lucky. Like, I don't know how people 20 years ago, 30 years ago have done it, but now we have like YouTube. There is my favorite website called Bigger Pockets. Ton of knowledge about real estate. I got started with that website. They have like every step-by-step process for newbies. They have like webinars and also books. So start doing those. So I'm pretty sure, like, by the time you're done with your exams, by the time you get your license, you'll be ready. At least have few people will be working with you. Exactly. So now you don't have to struggle that much and continue to do that.
Right. And I totally agree, because technicality is something else. You definitely need a technical knowledge, but that's not the only thing, because it's all about sales. It's all about talking, and it's all about making relationships, right? So you can't learn it from the book. There's no way you can do it, right? So you have to really go out there. And we as an immigrant, when we're new, right? There's always a hesitation, right? About let's keep it very natural, like accent, right? I don't know what you're gonna think about me. But I think that's just our mentality. It's not.
No one cares, honestly. Like, here, like you can connect to people who like you. So no one cares. Like here, you've been here 6 years, right? I've been here 10 years. No one ever commented on my accent. Like, and I used to joke about, my Indian accent, maybe you didn't understand. Let me repeat. So they will ask you, even if they don't understand, they'll, no one is going to comment based on your color. No one is going to comment based on your accent. It's more of you. If you really want to succeed in the sales, then you have to step out. You have to step out of your comfort zone, period. Right. You have no excuses, or else then just go do a job.
Great. No, that's for sure, definitely. All right, Aditya, I think it was a great session. So before we wrap up this video, what's the single piece of advice that you will tell all the future international students, future immigrants watching from around the world from your personal experience?
Man, if I can do it, you can do it too. Because,
Mhm.
I am just like you, came from zero, nothing, like no knowledge, prior knowledge, no special education, no family background. My parents are farmers, struggled every day. So no support. So with all those things, if I can do something better for me and my family, and for a small community that I built, then you can do the same thing, or you can do more. So it's just believe in yourself. Hey, immigrants doesn't mean that you have to come here and just follow the crowd and just do the job. If you have some passions, go towards them, follow them, do it, take a lot of actions. Definitely in this country, it's a blessing. You will succeed. If no, maybe it takes some time, but you will succeed. So trust yourself.
Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just keep buying everything. See you in the next life, have to be a better me. I don't think that my head's on